podcast with me. We got the founder and CEO of Intriguing Hair, Nikki Londy. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Blessed to have you on here. I'm super excited. You're definitely doing some great things when it comes to the hair space in Boston. I really want to get into your journey. But for those who don't know, can you please introduce yourself?
So my name is Nikki Londy. I consider myself a serial entrepreneur, but I'm most known for being the CEO and founder of Intriguing Hair, which is basically a one-stop solution for women to buy high-quality hair extensions and wigs, and also have them installed by certified hair extension specialists.
Mhm.
And I consider that resulting in the most realistic and natural hair extensions and wigs on the market today.
That's dope. Now, can you walk me back to the beginning of your journey doing hair? You said you've been doing it since you were 17. Why did you start, and then how did that transition into the booming business that you have now?
I mean, I think it's always, I've always been passionate about hair.
Mhm.
I've always done my own hair. Like, since I can go back to my earliest memory at like 6 of trying to do my own hair. But I went to cosmetology school at 17. I kind of was unsure of what I wanted to do. Even though I liked it, I kind of just did something to do it because it was like, I'm out of high school, what can I do right now?
Mhm.
So I went to hair school. And then just by chance, my first internship was at a hair augmentation studio um, in Boston, and I seen that like basically it was for like Caucasian upper class people, and I think that put the bug in my ear about like hair augmentation, hair replacement, and things like that.
Mhm.
And then when I had worked for Verizon in corporate for about 9 years, but I had always been doing hair, etc. But I was like, now's the time for me to start my own business.
Mhm.
And I always was like, I wanted to have that same similar experience that I had when I worked at the hair augmentation studio and have that for black people. Because my own experience going to the hair salon, like I'd go at like 8 in the morning, I wouldn't leave till like 8 at night. I felt like it wasn't a professional atmosphere, and I felt like I wasn't kind of valued as a customer. And I thought I wanted to have like a high end experience for African American people. So that's why I really did start my business.
Mhm. I've heard so many people just like on the internet, people complaining like about the that kind of that same thing you talked about the quality, especially in the hair service space,
Yeah.
whether you have braiders who are making you come with your hair already washed and blow dried or this and that. So what do you attribute that maybe disparity between what certain demographics of people are experiencing in that kind of luxury, high class, high quality experience versus what a lot of us are experiencing when we go to get our hair done?
I would say honestly, well, like for me, because I've been in the hair industry for a long time, I think what kind of changed, like even made it worse, was social media. Because now anybody can do hair. You don't have to be licensed. You could just create an Instagram page and say, "Hey, I'm doing braids," and you might just be a talented person, and I'm not putting anything against them, but they're sometimes when you don't have the proper training, you don't probably even know what you're doing is wrong. Like you might not see it as wrong. And it's a lot though. In the service industry, I feel like, even with my own employees, I tell them, you always have to be professional. And but they are also human. Everyone makes mistakes. Human make mistakes all the time. And I sometimes say that to people, like, we're human, we make mistakes. Even if you want to have the perfect, solution for everyone, sometimes you just can't satisfy people. And it might not be the service provider. It might just be the person giving off the bad energy. Like, it's a catch-22. But I don't just I won't say it's just our culture and our people. I think it's across the board.
Yeah.
You know.
Can you talk to me about the process of going from I want to start a business to actually implementing it, getting off the ground, then again getting it to the point where it's at right now?
So I would say, like, just from my own experience, I'm the type of person that I kind of don't, at the time, I didn't do the necessary research. I think everyone needs a business plan. You should do the necessary work to make sure that you don't make those mistakes. Because when you're, a lot of black people, we have to financially, like, self-fund ourselves. So, I made a lot of mistakes that if I knew the proper things, I probably wouldn't have made them. So I always tell people it's very important that you find a community that can help you. I think, like, especially in Boston, there's so many programs like accelerated programs, places where you can learn just about customer journey mapping, different things that I didn't even have any idea about. Like, I remember when I first started, I was like, you know what? There were people trying to do the same thing as me, and I would be so upset, like, why do they want to do this? Why are they trying to be me? And I realized that me and you, we could be right next door to each other and doing the same thing, but we service a completely different customer, so that doesn't really make me, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So, it's just all important. It's always important to do the necessary research and the back end is always important. It's not necessarily about the money, it's about putting yourself in a position to serve the customers that you need to, and you have to do it the right way. So I always encourage people to go to places like Fairmont Innovation Lab that help so many different entrepreneurs get off the ground.
If there's one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known when you were starting, what would that be?
What cost me, it cost me $50,000 when I first started my business. I decided to cash out my 401k, and I never knew at the moment that if you have a 401k, you could get a loan for that amount. Like whatever your 401k is, I would never do that, and I would never encourage someone to start a business, cash out your 401k, use your life savings to start a business. Because there's other avenues, like you can get, free money I never knew about, like grants, or you can do pitch competitions, things like that to, get money to start the business that I had no clue about when I was first starting my business.
What was like the jump? Like I actually, I have a cousin who she braids hair, and I asked her this question when I interviewed her. But what was that jump like from going from corporate to business? Did you like quit your job and say, all right, I'm all in, or was it like you started the business while you were still at the job, and once you made a certain amount of money, then you quit? Like how did that go for you?
Well, so basically, when was it? It was around 2012, 2013. I had been at Verizon for about 9 years, and what was happening is that we were constantly going through a series of layoffs. Like it had been like the third time, and my entire team I was a manager there. My entire team was about to be fired, and it was like, we can move you here, and I was like, you know what? I just didn't feel like the company valued the employees because we literally had put the company first before our own needs. So I just thought it was a necessary time. They also offered me a severance package, so I took the severance package, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go full force. But I had always intended at that time to start the business, but I didn't think that it was gonna be full time. I was like, I'm just gonna basically when I started my hair extension business, I was like, I know a lot of hairstylists because I was one myself at one time. I knew a lot of salon owners, and I was like, what I'm gonna do is basically I just started out of the trunk of my car really. Going to salons is like, hey, I sell hair extensions, I sell wigs. Whenever you need somebody, I'll be right there. So it was like that instant gratification. Like if they had a client, I know that no one wants to turn away. Weaves are like at least 200 and up, and if they don't have the hair, they can't do the service. I was like, call me, I'll be there. And I would literally go it'd be like 9 o'clock at night. I would go at 2 in the morning. I was going from Brockton to the North Shore, Saugus, and that's kind of how I built up the buzz of it was like that. When someone needed me, I would be there.
Yeah.
So,
I like to think of that as like kind of like the hustle stage of business, where it's like you really got to go and get it by any means necessary.
Yeah.
How long was that stage for you, and at what point, or when did you notice you transitioned to all right, I'm a little bit more established, I don't have to be like stretching myself so thin?
I still think I stretch myself really thin. You never really stop because you have these moments where you're doing so well. There was times when I would make like 50,000 in a month, but now with the pandemic hitting, I might not we weren't making 3,000 in a month, and I still had to pay my employees. So you always got to think about. I learned this from someone. They always told me that you could be doing great right now, but that doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. We all like life is a transition. You have up times, you have down times. You never know what can happen. You might when I had my business, like the natural hair movement was real big, and it's like black people were like, why I don't look like a European. I'm like, hey, it's like so you go through these things where you might have up times, you might have down times, and you always gotta be on the grind.
Yeah.
Like that's my take from it. But I think more so now I'm having more of a work-life balance where I'm not putting everything before. My work is I put my work before my family, and that's not that's not good because then I miss so many important things and moments in my family's life. So now I'm putting, myself first now.
Was there a moment or a specific incident that happened where you're like, I do need to reprioritize? Because I do hear that from a lot of business owners where it's like, okay, it's business first, like family, friends, it doesn't matter. All of you come after my business, and while that's important at a certain stage, you also recognize that these people are important to you as well. Was there something specific that made that click in your head that like, hey, maybe I need to shift my priorities around, or was it something that kind of you came to realize gradually?
I came to realize it gradually, but there were so many moments it's kind of crazy things that I put before, like my aunt had passed away, and I decided to work and go to her funeral, those type of things. It's kind of like that's not being a great human being. So but you learn to like, as you get older, you just learn what's more important. Sometimes it's like I was chasing a dollar rather than, chasing the relationships I have and stuff like that. So, it's just all about growing up and realizing what's more important to you.
Actually, I think this is the biggest question I have for literally everybody in life. What do you value? What are your, top values?
Right now, I would say, I value my family. I value the relationships I have with people. I think it's really important to be a great person. And so many people I wouldn't be here today if there weren't people that helped me, that mentored me. So I always make sure that I give back to my community, and I make sure I help as many people as I can, because I'm really big on karma. Like, the more good you do, the more good that happens to you. So, yeah.
And you have mentioned when you were at Verizon, they didn't value y'all as employees. Now, being on the other side of that as the employer, are there lessons that you took from being on that side that you're now implementing as you have your own employees, as you have these people you're responsible for paying and taking care of?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I've always been big about, especially looking at leadership and seeing what they do great, and then kind of emulating that. It's like trying to, if I see somebody that's a great speaker, I'm like, oh wow, I like how their hand movements are. Let me I put that into practice. But I would say for my own business, it was kind of like, I realized that a lot of times I gave more than I should have to people. I was just so appreciative that they wanted to work with me, but then it was like, you still have to, I always used to say, me and my husband, we started our business together, and I always like to be the good cop, and he always was the bad cop. And I would hate having uncomfortable conversations, because the people I work with, I love them like, my family. Because we spend like 8 to 10 hours a day. Sometimes they've made choices to help me when, I know that was detriment to them. So, but I had to learn that it's not, if I don't make people aware of what they're doing wrong, they're never going to know what's going on. So, it's about, it was hard for me to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm always like that person that's like, let me not even discuss this with them, it's not even worth it. But sometimes people need to know, what's going on for real.
Yeah, those hard conversations are oftentimes the ones that are most worthwhile. Now, you said you and your husband started the business together.
Yeah, he definitely helped me.
Can you talk about that dynamic? Because, I'm 23, I be on TikTok and stuff, and I see so many people, there's this I don't know what it is, I don't know if you guys have noticed this or anything, but there's this discourse that keeps happening on the internet, and it seems like, I don't know if there's a gender war or something going on, but it really bothers me that there doesn't seem to be a level of cooperation. I don't know if it's just what I see on TikTok, but I think that's amazing that you guys started that together. So can you talk about what having a business together, what that does for your marriage and the relationship that you guys have? Because I imagine it brings in a different dynamic.
It definitely does. And it's interesting because prior to us starting the business together, I used to even tell people that I work with that you should never have a relationship with somebody that you work with, because it's just when it goes bad, it's gonna be uncomfortable for everybody.
Yeah.
But as we had our business, and I've seen other people that partner with people that they don't know, and maybe someone would steal all the money or go off and hey, I'm not doing this no more, and then try to recreate what they created together. I know that we both have the same end goal. We're both creating a legacy for our family. We have a child together. I know that he's not going to harm me in a way that's going to affect his son. And I think it brings a whole nother level to just our family, because just our son seeing how close we work together, and it's like we work all the time. We're talking about business stuff at home. He's included in the conversation. I just think it brings joy to me every day, honestly. That I get to do what I love with people I love, and that is, you can't put a price on that.
What are some of the lessons how old is your son?
He is going to be 17 in December.
He's 17. So what are some of the lessons that you try to impart on him? Maybe there are some lessons that you got from business or just life in general. What are some lessons that you tried to impart on him, and what are some lessons that you hope he gains moving forward?
I didn't have these lessons. I didn't really know anybody in business growing up in the hood. But I'm very big on ownership. That's the only way for our people to grow economically. So I'm really big on, you don't have to, and honestly, you don't have to ever have a business for yourself. But I think that the only way for us to move forward as a people is for us to own the stuff that the buildings we are in. To own the property that we live in. And those type of things bring wealth, assets that can help us move forward. Like, I know so many people that have to be self-funded. They don't have the money to start a business, but I know so many of my white counterparts, they don't have to put enough. They can just go to the bank because their father is best friends with the banker and immediately will give them $300,000. They haven't even started anything yet. So I believe, like, that's what I'm really, really big on is, ownership is the only way for economic development for Black people and brown people or any minorities. So I hope you. Oh, sorry. Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, and I think that's a huge point. I was actually like listening to Nipsey Hussle on the way here, and
I love Nipsey Hussle.
he
That's
talks
one of
about
mine.
ownership a lot. But obviously there are obstacles, right? There's a reason that, like you said, we can't just go in the bank and get some of these loans. So how do you as somebody who's created a successful business despite the obstacles, what would you say to somebody who's in that position of, okay, I might want to start a business, or I want to get into this game of ownership, but I don't necessarily know, one, where to start, what I want to do, and how to overcome these obstacles. What would you say to that person?
Well, I'm going to give you a really good example. When was this? I'll say it was last year, and I was working, and a realtor came into the business that I had been in for 7 years, and we all had, it's a whole block full of Black-owned people. We had all been working there for 7 years together. And they were showing the building that we were in, and they were gonna sell the building without even notifying us, which is against the law in Massachusetts. And I was like, oh shit, the building's up for sale? My business, I just renovated my place. I had just spent like $30,000. Even I got broken into like during the George Floyd protesting, like that had costed money. And I was like, damn, they didn't even think enough of us to even let us know. And they were like, I was like, what if you want to buy the building? They was like, we already got 5 offers, and it was Saturday. It was a Saturday, and it was like, you got to come up with an offer by Monday. And I was like, shit, what we gonna do? And I said, who can I, on my Rolodex, who can I call? And I called Justin, and he immediately connected me with somebody, and he made that happen for me, right? So we always gotta look at our people in our network, and like always, like you never know who can help you. You never know, like, who knows who. So I'm big on working with the people in your network. You never know who can help you. You never know.
Yeah. How does one go about building their network with that in mind? What are the steps they can take? Obviously, we're here right now on Fairmont Innovation Labs. This is a great place to network. All of y'all out there, proud to talk to. But how does someone go about doing that with that intention in mind?
I would say that don't always think about what someone can do for you. A lot of times people always say, well, this person, it's all about, you gotta, there's so many times and so many people that I looked at and I was like, wow, I want to be just like that person. I just might be like, hey, do you need anything? You need anybody to help you this day? Like, they might be doing an event. I know you might need some volunteers. How can you help me? Because the thing is, once you show that like, you're not just wanting something, it's so easy for someone to help you. Like, it's like, then you feel like anytime anyone has ever reached out to me and be like, hey, I love what you do. I want to get to the hair business. Hey, can I just come down? I'll sweep up your floors. And I'm like, I can never say no to that. Like, why would I say no to that?
Value.
And then it's like, then I see them working for free. Like, I gotta help them. Like, what you really want to do? Let me see how I can really help you. So it's just about that. It's about, like, just being authentic and genuine. That gets you more farther than saying, let me see, I'm gonna try to work with this person. Let me see what they're doing. Let me see what I can take from them. Maybe I can take a customer. It never really works out that way. When you're just genuine and you just want, like, I think people just want to help people, honestly. I think we're in that time in life where people really genuinely want to help people.
It's that common thing we talked about, right? You reap what you sow. So if
Definitely.
you are willing to give, people will be willing to give to you. To wrap up, what can we expect from you moving forward? I think you said earlier you're gonna start a new business, but what's coming down the pipe for you?
So what's coming down the pipe? I got this really big pop-up shop in Atlanta. We got Trina gonna be there, Andy Smith, Harris. It's gonna be July 10th.
Oh, this the boss
So we are
right here.
looking for creatives, business owners, to come be a part of that experience. I'm trying to get a lot of different, like, investors. I'm not saying that they will fully commit, but just seeing what's out there and maybe wanting to do that. So that's what I'm doing. That's July 10th. And also, I recently did start a new business, so I'm just, and it's not something I actually been in, So it's interesting because it's like I'm not comfortable, and when you're uncomfortable, I feel like you see the most growth.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that.
That's amazing. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you?
Intriguing Hair, on social media and online, and we're at our brick and mortar location is at 82 Fairmont Ave in Hyde Park.
Amazing. Make sure, you know, if you need your waves, anything like that, make sure
Recent
you
hair
tap in
replacement.
with, yo, make sure you tap in with Intriguing Hair. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at _TriWoods. Follow the podcast at the Global Renaissance Pod. I hope you guys like this episode, and I'll see you on the next one.